Hey everybody. So let's talk about, is the Mothman an interdimensional being or a galactic or something else and that sort of thing. And let me know how you like this video format. I am going to try some different things and I wanted to see if I could put more nature in the background and maybe you'll see something run by. Maybe not. I don't know. The birds and the chipmunks have been pretty active until I put the camera out. So, but is the Mothman real? Is it an interdimensional being, a galactic being? Keep in mind when I talk about my experiences, people want a singular, they want a singular reason, explanation for encounters, for experiences, for these different things. But the truth is, there is no singular answer because what happens is we build a mythology of lore around different beings. We have this term, Mothman. Now, what is the Mothman, first of all? It's typically, from my understanding, more West Virginia, Pennsylvania, that type of area started really heavily with the bridge collapse in, is it Point Pleasant, West Virginia? Something like that. I might be wrong on the town, but it's on the Ohio River. There was a bridge collapse, and before this happened, a lot of people had premonitions and had seen the Mothman. It's this humanoid being with wings that looks like a moth and red eyes. And it would appear before catastrophes and try to warn people is kind of a lot of the lore, and there's other lore out there, but this is a singular label attached to many experiences. We have single label, many experiences. What's the key problem with all of these experiences? The majority of people having those experiences have no capacity to understand the experience. They're not telepathic, they're not able to communicate. They're not able to fully understand, especially at that time, the level of consciousness of what a different being is. Is it a galactic energy? Is it some other type of energy? This and that. And their own awareness, their own energy is not in a space that's able to really handle truth in its fullest form. It can handle small truths, but not the whole truth and that type of thing. So that's a key problem. So you get people dropping experiences into a label. They go, saw red eyes, looked like a moth type thing, Mothman, boom, done, type of thing. My experience with the Mothman, and I can't see the time, so I'm just checking it. Okay, I'll move this a little closer so I can see a little better. There we go. My experience with the Mothman is less of a what people would call a what's cryptozoology. It's not a cryptid from my experience. Not a cryptid. Not an interdimensional. It is a galactic. Now, again, my experience with beings who called themselves Mothmen and said they were responsible for many of the Mothman sightings. These beings were very humanoid. Um, they had arms, they had legs, faces just like humans do. Their skin was very different, and they had a lot of different body types. I traveled to them once. They showed me their world, and I sat there with one of these beings. It was one of my first experiences, so it's long, long time ago. It's in my first book. But I sat there with one of them talking to them, and he said he was in part due their cultures, in part due to the Mothman mythology. Now, why is that? Because they have suits. They have and basically Iron Man suits with wings that look like these big moth wings, but they're suits, technology. And their planet has, if I remember right, it's a red sun or it's an atmosphere that turns the light red. when you're on the planet, the world is in this like red hue of light. Everything is in a red hue of light. And something about that and how they survive when they wear the suits, they have goggles or, a mask or something, and it has red eyes. And so they would come down from wherever they're at, portal in or however they traveled in. I don't remember. I don't even know if I asked that question, how they got to Earth. Um, I do know the suits could fly through, were space worthy. Uh, but they would come in and they would be the experience a lot of people had. They would come in and they would be the experience a lot of people had that they said was a mothman. Now, most people relate this to a cryptid, a moth. And they showed me how this comes about because people, one, can't understand. They showed me a memory of them coming in and warning people of something. And I don't know what they were warning them of, but they were very confused because they hadn't really been to Earth. And the people are so dense that when they were trying to communicate, there was a group driving a car. They were trying to communicate. They swooped in and they're like, "Hey, how are you doing?" It's nighttime. They're in a wingsuit. They look like a moth, red eyes. And they're like, "Hey, let's go to the population and be like, hey, we want to warn you of something." I don't, and this wasn't the bridge. I don't think this was something else, but they swooped into these people and the people freaked out, wrecked the car, wrecked it up onto it like went off the road up onto a ravine type hill type thing and hit some trees. The people, I believe, were fine, but this being, this humanoid person in a suit, was very confused that it couldn't talk to the people. It didn't make, it was like, why would they get scared? Why weren't they, receptive type of thing? And so they went off and realized that we were a denser population. We weren't as aware, as awake, and so pulled back on coming from my awareness, and then started finding people through more quantum telepathic types of means. My experience with this galactic, they are on, like I said, galactic on another planet. I met them through a guide who took me to a world that was like a world of gas, and then the Mothman showed up there, and then I traveled with him astrally to his world and experienced him there. And they showed me technology and things that, and there are things like shield generators that can protect from the weather that shoot up like in star. They're more like these generators. If you're familiar with Stargate, they're more like those that they put one here and one over there, and then they make a dome. But they're kind of also like Star Wars in that they shoot energy up and all this and create a circle. And they had highly advanced technology, and that was one of the reasons they were coming. Is they were like, we have this technology, we have these suits that you can poof, fly off into nowhere, you can travel, you can basically Iron Man suits, but they look like moths, they look like these, you know animals. Which, why wouldn't they? Because the most um, uh, what's the word, effective means is shown in nature, so you would model it after nature. And so they have these forms of technology that they want to share with people, but they have to find conscious people who are aware, who are telepathic, who are capable of handling the truth of who they are, to be able to bring this technology down and work with scientists and others, and be like, hey, we're here to help. Here's how you can integrate this technology into your world. So yes, does the Mothman exist? Yes. What is the Mothman? I feel there are many different explanations, and it depends on which encounters you're talking about, because all of those encounters that people don't understand are dumped under one label. Same with Sasquatch. Tons of encounters dumped under one label. You can't truly understand the encounter unless you can talk to them. Let me know if you have questions. Love you all. Grateful for each and every one of you.